て待とうや。いかにしますか。運命に抗うか、それとも受け入れるか、いずれにせよ退路はありません。
逃げる？そんな必要ないわ。あの人が戻るまでこの地は私が制する。
A little different.
I'd done the impossible by 2:45.
Got
I put my feet up, I was pouring the tea, felt a burning sensation all on my knee.
1.2 coming out
Then I noticed
for
that my cup was gone.
Steep Huck.
So's my left shoe, something's wrong. Movement in the shadows,
Got myself
I listen in the
started.
dark. It can't be Jeffrey,
I
he's off
have
visiting an aunt.
this
I
as
run
my
for the lab.
base.
Equipment is missing,
Goal
there's a tuft,
here
a
is to
hazelnut plant in the
have
kitchen. I've had enough.
an updated
Subtle has never
multi-smite
been my style. Whoever's
build.
at my stuff will regret it in a while.
So
Night goggles, spare left shoe.
what we're thinking is going to be multi-strike,
Switch on invisibility,
smite,
listen up, there's something near, there's a secret stash of nuts hidden
anomaly,
Keep it down, there's something weird. How did this tough to get stuck
volatile,
in my head? Squirrel, squirrel,
and abyssal.
squirrel, squirrel,
So I think there's going to be potentially
squirrel, squirrel. There's one in my bookshelf, one in my
two
luggage, one in my
versions
underpants
that could
drawer,
work
four in
here,
my cupboard.
or even three versions that could work here.
Squirrely bastard, that's not cool. Heaven help the squirrel that gets
Like
in my
this
way.
is obviously
Time for a
your
stealthy squirt of my knockout spray.
key part.
Tight, tiny change
Anomaly
will
is
come
just
the
like
next day. Who sent you?
kind of
Who are
busted
you? What have you got to say?
in that you
They
cause
stay
people to
silent.
take
They
50%
won't
more
talk
void
either.
damage.
Squirrels can't talk, and neither do beavers. They're wearing antennas. I rewire the sonnets. Ride the flying
So,
Susan to a nearby forest hideaway. I
you
want
kind
to
of get
hide, but it's time to be brave.
two possibilities here depending on like how you build and what you build and what uniques you use. For instance, you could
I'm Mr. Swan. Listen up. There's
easily like replace a volatile with something like void cleave, and then if you use void cleave with what is it? Aberrat's command, like you can use this to create a variation of the build, which will get you void penetration, area skills, increased damage over time, and ravaging aura. Basically become 60% 60% penetration, okay? And then here we're basically just going for
and swans really love bready products. He gobbled and guzzled. He
full
really loved it. We briefly tussled, but then he was gone. On strong wing muscles, never trust a swan. You'll never catch me.
right, like you just basically
I'll be back.
have massive sucky with
Look at this.
ravaging aura, right? Like ravaging aura
I don't think we should have a roast dinner, Jeffers.
why won't this like
No, not a nut roast. That's the last thing I want.
why did they change like how hovering behaves, like trying to skill on? I can't actually get it. So like ravaging aura,
Motherfucker, I'm awesome. No, you're not, dude. Don't lie. I'm awesome. I'm driving around in my mom's ride.
ravaging aura is
And I met all my
42 void damage, but you get insane scaling on here. 350 effectiveness per second. Then interestingly, it doesn't scale. Ravaging Word doesn't scale off of vitality at all, so you can't increase vitality to make this better. So it's going to be based on just the flat on your weapon and this. Alright, so you get up to 10 seconds when you use Void Cleave, but then with this, they last an additional 6 to 12 seconds. Right, so you basically can use this as free damage without having to think about it for 6 to 12 seconds. Although you'd actually want to use Void Cleave every 5 seconds. So you may not even care about using Ravaging Aura with this, although it just, you know, boosted a lot, and you have no weapon requirement, which helps a lot too. And you don't need it as an area skill, and it gives void penetration. That's one version of the build if you're using Void Cleave instead of Volatile Reversal. There's also Devouring Orb. I don't think this has Abyssal. Yeah, it doesn't have, but everyone's basically doing this number, which is where is it? This is also pretty good. Like you could get free Devouring Orbs, or not free, but you can use Devouring Orb to get Void Essences as well, and you get some big orbit damage. And what is its multiplier? The base damage is 200, so like that also is pretty free damage. And then you get Void Essences whenever they expire. And you get extra, you know, damage there. You can tweak this a little bit depending on like what you're looking for. For instance, if you're not looking for necessarily the fat damage from it, like you can get the void resistance shred chance, right?
He's pretty cool, although he's not always so.
And that means you're getting additional damage for your smite from shredding, and then you can go increase this, and okay, so void damage on impact. Oh yeah, it says it right there. It's basically the same as that. What is Void Eruption in terms of how much damage that does? Fires 4 projectiles and random angles. An energy orb of pure void energy, seeking out your enemies and destroying them. So how much does that compare to Abyssal Orb? It's fine though.
Freak a little witch hunt, gathering the cornies and exploiting every stigma. The malformed oddities among sovereignties normal. Shall abuse every vice you can imagine right before you. All I thought of was the cloven hoof.
So
Had a clip, clop over the woven roofs with a nose for commotion.
yeah, we were gonna look at Abyssal Orb in comparison. Okay, so this is 20 with 100. I don't know if each projectile can hit. If they can, that's pretty good. They also nerfed the... Okay, so it's now free, which is a big improvement. And the 180 arc, I guess it really depends on if it's shotguns, because that would actually be 80 void. And then you have Abyssal Orb. Abyssal Orb is 40 void. The area of effect, so you can actually have two, it actually triggers twice. So effectively this might be slightly better, right? Because this is, if we say 40 and the Void Eruption is 20. So does that okay, each Devouring Orb would have that, which means like you're just shooting off a whole bunch. All right, so you could basically treat it as a secondary free damage source just around that, or treat it as right, like the Devouring Orb itself isn't going to do damage because you're really like collision damage. It still does get scaling from Void and all that jazz, and the AoE damage over time would still be taken, but you wouldn't get any hit damage from the orbiting. But this might actually be better. It's kind of a trade-off in that you're trying to get the Void Essences, right? When they expire, they last for 10 seconds. This reduces it to 5 seconds. I don't know if it's 40% and then like this is 14 and then that's 7 seconds, or if it's 5 and then 40% on that, which is close to 7 as well. I guess that it would be 7, or if it's actually a 10% reduction in duration between these two, because you also want this to go off. I guess like once you start getting them going, right, like while you're moving, you automatically cast them. It's not on cooldown, and then you can get CDR reduction to get like an insane amount of these going up too. So there's two sides of it, which is like the extinction or shredding, right? Like each one shredding along with like shooting every 30 seconds. So let's say it lasts 7 seconds, and you can get your cooldown to like 2 seconds. And that would then be 3, and you'd be getting 3 shreds. Because like that's kind of what you're choosing here, right? Like, are you can also get global more global void damage, and that gets you 20% up to 20% more void damage 20% mana regen if you have 90 vitality, and you're going to be stacking vitality here as well. The downside for choosing this is, like I said, you go this way, you can get yourself 120 more hit damage, and it scales with 200% effectiveness. So like the damage here is probably more than the Abyssal Emission. I'm guessing it will be. And in this build, it's probably going to be a little bit nicer. Now, Void Rift. Okay, Void Rift now does 20 damage. So it's not great in comparison to this, but like this is a ton of damage for each one. 40%, like you almost really do want to max that out. The problem is, like, this is a lot of damage that you're giving up, and this is also a bunch of damage you're giving up. They're all damage that you're giving up if you opt either here. Yeah, I mean, having more, you probably go something like this. Would probably be the most optimal. Like, you don't necessarily care about having multiple out at the same time. What you actually care about is getting them out at all and slapping. Having them out longer just makes them more mana efficient, right? Because the more you have out, the more damage you're going to be doing with them. So like if you had 10 out or 5 out, you're producing 5 every 5 seconds and 10 every 10 seconds, it's effectively the same difference, right? It does increase your damage too, though. Or you're getting effectively, if you're getting 40% more duration, if you're not killing something before the duration would enter one of them, you're going to get effectively 40. You probably then go like this. That's probably the best way to go, because now you got 40% extra duration, which means that technically you're kind of getting 40% more damage out of each orb, depending on how fast they orbit and how many times it like collide, or if they just disappear after they collide. If they disappear after colliding, you actually would probably take that off, and then you would get Cataclysm at that point, right? Because they would always hit and explode. I don't know if that's what they do though. Increased cooldown recovery. So you can get 30-60% cooldown recovery, so that's kind of nice, but like you have to spend too much to get to it. Same thing here, this is 18%. Okay, so Fleeting Orb is interesting because you're basically pumping them to get as many Cataclysms out as possible. And this would basically be, you hit, it's a 90% less duration if it's additive, which gives a second. So like you'd hit once and then it erupts. And then you constantly have Void Essences up. So it's a little bit of a interesting one. Like, ultimately, it's all about the same thing, right? Like, they all are going to do spell damage. Which one is going to get you the most spell damage? Is it going to be hitting things, the impact? Is it going to be having it out longer with abyssal emissions? Or is it going to be like getting them to hit and then blow up? Okay, like this combo could be good because you get kind of double dip, right? Where you get out more eruptions, or you get a hit and an eruption. You could also still get technically like abyssal emission. You have to tweak this like something like this, right, to get a 50% chance, and now you're shooting and hitting like the maximum damage you can get from it. There's also Rift Caller, right, to get damage penetration. So yeah, there's a lot of possibilities. There's also the Void Rift. No, that's for Void Rift. Yeah, so that's another version. And then you have this guy, which is supposedly Embrace the Darkness works without having this on your bar. Right, so that's basically the key. So I don't actually understand like what the purpose of increased duration is on this. Like having a guaranteed blind is actually pretty crazy. You don't really need this physical resistance. So like the impair the weak, I never understood, right? Like if you had a 1,000 damage abyssal and it lasts for 5 seconds, enemies they take void damage. If they take a hit, all the damage from abyssal decay is dealt to them immediately, right? So like it doesn't exactly last. So maybe it's probably because of crumbling. You actually don't want abyssal decay to go off, so you can keep on all your other dots. So this isn't bad either. More time rod chance, like you don't necessarily need that. So the potent corruption just makes it immediately, and you don't actually need to hit people anymore to actually impact it. So that's one way to go. And then like if you get the time up buff, I think this is really all you need. You can go and get armor shred. You're never going to be directly using it. I don't know if Nether Reach does anything here. And that's one way to go, which is, shredding stacks and more damage. Slow is not bad here as well. That would actually free up one of the problems in the build that I was trying to solve is like, okay, slows. So you can go and put a slow here. You go back to the passive tree. We did that over here, which is frailty. Actually, I would still want the frailty chance on here. So you don't need to go and slap that on at all anymore. So now we respec, and so the original idea here was volatile for really the usable duration becomes 2 seconds, right? We're not going to actually be scaling this at all. It does scale the void spell damage, which is what we're going to get in here. We're not actually trying to jump backwards in time. I actually didn't realize this. There's also a critical strike. We can get 6 mana back. I don't actually know if it's worthwhile though, because I'll actually need that. I probably don't, but you can get some insane critical strike chance on here. Like right now, if I go to what I have on here, offense critical chance of 10%, but I was planning on using a spear for the 5% chance, and because there's a really cool, at least I think it's cool sounding, you got Bane of Winter, which actually isn't terrible, where you get 42% of the added melee damage as added spell damage to cold and void spells, right? So if you're looking at like optimal on something like this, you want void, right? Like you would need void and cold. That would be added melee damage applied as, you know, spell damage to cold and void. So really it's any added damage, right? As you can see down here, melee fire damage would be added to cold, and void spells as spell fire damage. So you're trying to get, you know, void. If you do the math on that, right, let's say 100, and that's 200, and we're going to use 40, and that'll get you 80 spell damage, right? 80 spell damage isn't terrible when you also think about it basically will make the multi-strike actually hit decently hard, because you'd have 300 damage over there. You're not going to scale chill chance for critical strike. 10% on camp Emerald chance is not going to be, you're not really going to be scaling the void winter bolts, but they do scale very, very heavily off of spell damage at 600% here. Unfortunately, you have only 3 times per 2 seconds with Void Winter Bolt. It's a 3 projectiles. I'm assuming they can shotgun, right? So you're actually doing 120, 360 damage times 80 effectiveness, which is then multiplied by 6. So 80 times 6 gets us another 480 damage. So 480 on top of the 120 plus 80 times 3, or actually that equals what? 600 times 3 is 1800 damage on there. So like this is one possibility, which I think you have to, this might be really good if you can get a good slam on it. Right? You have LP2 is 1 in 180 chance, which makes it very, very hard to actually get both of these. And then it has negligible damage on there for a two-hander. So that's one option. And where is it? Essence Weaver. Here we go. So this Essence Weaver, I don't know what it does in terms of like how it behaves 100%. So chance to shred armor on melee hit, and that's actually not bad. This increases our damage. But the neat thing is gain a stack of elemental essence when you use a melee attack and hit at least one enemy. So you get 9 stacks every 30 seconds. And at 9 stacks, you consume it to randomly cast Smite, Frostclaw, or Stormbolt. Now the question is, is it random? Like you can cast Frostclaw if you're not actually a mage, and you can cast Stormbolt if you're not and you're not a Primalist, because they also have all different multipliers. So the reason this is interesting is because of the Smite aspect, and then all of the stats on this item are tripled for cast which consumed elemental essence. Now that doesn't sound that amazing because in terms of like increased elemental damage, so really you only get 2 stats on here, right? And this is also a Weaver's Will, which means it's very hard to get the optimal like version of it. But if you're getting smites on it, and this consumes where is it? So at a nearby enemy per essence consumed. So you can get 9 smites off. And I don't know if it's like each thing that it casts is random. Like you either get 9 of Smite, Frostclaw, or Stormbolt, or if it's a mixture of the 3, right? Like you could roll all of one thing, but highly unlikely, and you'll probably get something like 3 Smites, 3 Frostclaws, 3 Stormbolts. That's the only verbiage that's a little bit hard to tell on here. And I don't know if it's only based on the availability of the spell for you. Because if it's based on the availability, then this works for 3 different classes. But the wording is weird. So like you can get, basically you're increasing the amount of smite you're getting by 3 per second when you get down to it. Which isn't bad, right? That's essentially casting 0.33 per second. And that would also be the stats on are tripled for cast, which are consumed, so 70 times 3, right? 210 spell damage on there, which is kind of nice. And you're still shredding armor on top of that. So I don't know what, I don't think that you can get spell anything on here. Right, like you could get void damage on here, which would be insane because 600% damage increase for those as well. But once again, it's a Weaver's Will item, so it's very easy to get kind of really bad stuff too. So it'll depend on how this behaves. That's the biggest thing. I don't know how it behaves, elemental essence, but because of how I set this up, Forge Guard will get you 5% crit chance. So alternatively, you can, if it doesn't work out, you can go with swords to get another free 10% melee attack speed, but then it's not really worth it. You would then go here. You would this would get you 18% a sword attack and cast speed, so it's not really worth it if you can't get the crit. And that's the way I look at it. So the 5% chance here is what I'm expecting, right? And then you can go, you don't want Peak of the Mountain, right? Peak of the Mountain means you can't leech. And because this is Void builds, you basically need, there's a couple of things. Fake cast Glacier along its path. Man, that's crazy. Prismatic Gaze is one thing you could use because it comes built and baked in with 2 major things, or 3 major things, honestly. You can get, you're not going to be using any elemental skills, unfortunately. So you're kind of like, you're not actually using it for that. You're using it for the fact that you can take 10% less elemental damage, which just improves like your tankiness and flat crit chance on here. Paranoia isn't terrible either. You can just, but you're gonna be standing around a lot. Let's see, I forgot about, we're gonna look at the rest here. We're not fire. You don't want this for sure. Kate's Skull is pretty good there, but you don't want to convert Void to physical because you're going to be taking less damage as Void in this build. This isn't terrible either. I don't think we need it. Obviously Seed is incredibly good. It has so much air damage delta mana before health. And then Endurance applies to all the damage. Delta your mana. More Endurance threshold. Like the Seed is kind of you know, ultimate, but if you're being realistic here, now if we look at, you know, helmets set items, nothing good here that we would want anyways. Lost Bears isn't terrible actually for the 2 endurance per strength if you were stacking strength. I'll be right back.
once you had it all figured out and sorted it to its optimal position. Add the optional mess of it. Here it is. I hope you like it. Hope there's somebody listening. Then we'll
All right.
your site alighted on the side. It said discuss. Shiny pixels, click the plus. Many comments. What a fuss. You're nothing but a catalyst to sage discussion among learned peers. About to find some here. Peruse a couple and the floor disappears. She gets despised and disparaged. Is this normal? Let it go. A single toe dipped in the fester hole. Subjects to undertow as if to know your worth itself became debatable as if anything could be wonderful enough to.
Okay, and so there's nothing special here. You could, like I said, go with prismatic gaze, which actually it's not that rare. Wait, it is that rare? I've gotten it before, quite a bit. I guess it's not great. There are the new like champion prefixes as well. So if we take a look, the terror count is probably going to be the best that you can get in this build. The Leonine Great Home isn't bad if you don't want to rely on blind. Like in this build, you can get 100% blind if you want to. With the Fizzle Echoes, and you just have like, what is it? Something like a 50% chance to blind on here. This also gets you increased echo damage when a skill is echoed. And so if the echoes do what I'm hoping they do, is that they will cause smites to occur, right, with additional swords. And if they do cause additional, or if they do cause smites, then the echo damage is actually going to be higher than my own damage. Like that's part of the benefit of having increased echo damage, but you also have to take into account like how frequently you echo. Multi-strike doesn't echo, I think, nearly as much. Pretty certain there's nothing to increase it, so you wind up with like a 20% chance to echo, which means like even though if you're doing 100% more damage, it's only 1 in 5 chance of your hits causing an echo, which then means that if you're using stats to increase, or like you're using some form of resource, meaning your idols, your prefixes or your suffixes, to increase your echo damage, you're actually only getting 1/5 the benefit of it for multi-strike, right? So it's really, it comes out to be like at 100%, you're only doing 20% more damage, or increase. It's like a 20% increased damage when you average it out, right? So something around there. It's not 100% because of other things that can occur, but terror crown is probably going to be what you want for essentially the vitality scaling. Some other good ones. You could go with cooldown recovery speed. You probably won't need it. Reduced bonus damage, like I said, is also quite nice. Like if you get a good roll, the Great Helm will be better, even if you are blinding. Like it's so you don't crit immediately, but you're gonna be also leeching and all that jazz. And that's what I would think is going to be best. Let's see if they have champion ones on here. Here we go. They do have the shirts here. Okay, it'll still be giving void damage with volatile. Melee damage with that, level of vengeance. Shield throw. Manifest armor anomaly is also void damage. Like, this will probably be the best, right? Like, whenever you can get flat spell damage, it's just really good. Oh, it creates a sealed affix. Is that what it is? Chance to electrify? Yeah, that's what it must be. No, okay. It's just everything. Okay, chance to electrify is the new one. Yeah, and they added in. Is this new as well? I still don't understand. I guess I don't understand Abyssal Decay. Right, like, does it increase damage with the duration? Like, the longer your duration, the more damage it actually will do? Let's see, once again, like, increased echo damage when a skill is echoed. This depends on if they're doing the smite. This might be really good. Odds are, though, you'll want to add something like Vitality on here. You could also add mana, another potentially good one, because this gets you flat mana when you directly cast Smite. I think there's multi-strike on here. And yes, Vitality gets you the most, I think. See, I don't think multi. So I think it's void. Right, you would want this and Vitality. Right, this would be your ideal. Unwind while I sit on the porch, let sunshine come and tickle my balls. I see sound on the mic, I'm trippy in the green. You could get armor. Butt naked on the beach. Fuck work, man, I'm taking a retreat. Yeah, my feet are up, it's all peace and love, and that's the way it's gotta be. All you haters are mad, always got something to say. Cause I'm doing my thing and I'm blowing my loud all up in your face. Hey, hey, yo, that kind is cray cray. They call me homie the clown, I don't play. Wait, you can put set stuff as a prefix. Oh, does it have two different effects? Let's see. Let's get you increased armor and health regen. Wait, no, it's completely different ones. This is Gas Burst and Sunforged. Oh, some of them are considered suffixes and some of them are considered affixes or prefixes. I did not realize this. You probably don't care about health regen here nearly as much, so probably want health. You can get it. Like, these are your health. Those are your probably the two big ones that you want on here. Now, body armor uniques are a little wild. There's definitely a lot here. Sets. Okay, so you're not getting Golem nothing isn't bad. Chance to take 0 damage, threshold, endurance threshold. Let's see, melee damage, overkill damage. This is pretty insane. Wait, 1% less damage taken. You need to get this from Aberoth. I'm not counting things that are from Aberoth. I think that's too much. Core of the Mountain isn't bad here. Extra endurance. All attributes. That gives you pretty good base as well. Right, that gets you more strength, more vitality. 12% chance there. We're gonna skip that too. In terms of like thinking about more armor against shocked, more lightning damage. We're not gonna care about that. Woven Flesh is always really good because you get critical 100% crit strike avoidance. It's common enough that you could use this, right? Like overkill damage, leech his health, increased damage, leech his health, then increased leech rate. And with this build, you would be just like leeching so much as well, and then you don't have to worry about crits even without blind. The Woven Flesh is a good placeholder one. Titan Heart is quite good as well. You don't have to care about regenerating health here, right? You take 15% less damage just flat out. So the question, I think, like this gives you more survivability if you don't need the damage, additional like 15% damage reduction. Right, because you get extra armor, but this increases your health pool massively, which means you get increased endurance thresholds. Easiest way to actually increase your endurance threshold. So like this is going to keep you alive a lot better than other things. You have LP 1 in 41, which is pretty reasonable like chance to get it. It's very hard to get this otherwise. For like a starter build, you don't care about that. This is potentially okay. I don't think we care about that either. This is pretty good, and where you can get a lot of extra attack speed for the potion, just adding into it. This is a pretty good early one. Like you have a really high chance of getting an LP30 here, which means like you can just basically pick in it Brazil's Pride and get achievement and strength, armor, lightning resistance, or mana regen. Prism wraps are kind of crazy because elemental damage taken as void. 50% of the elemental damage is taken as a void, and then you take 20% less void damage in general. So if you have prism wraps, reducing, I don't know like where the conversion happens here, but you're not going to have any elemental damage. The increased crit strike chance isn't bad, but it has a really low like LP chance when you look at it for kind of a common item overall. Okay, like common. So 30% increased elemental damage does nothing. This though is kind of crazy, because basically what you're getting is a 10% damage reduction with that passive, because if you take 100 damage, 50% of it becomes void, and 20% of your void damage is reduced. Well, it would become 40 damage on the void side, which is, 10% damage reduction when you really look at it. But your void damage is always 20% less. Your physical, necrotic, and poison. Necrotic, you don't have to worry too much about. Poison, you generally don't have to worry too much about either. Especially with the changes to the poison or dots. So I think the Titan Heart is probably your best. Right, if you don't get Titan Heart, your best bet is going to be either Champion Regalia or the Apocalypse Plate, I think. Because then you can get the increased echo damage, right? Pretty much the same spiel as the Terror. It's like, yes, you're going to get increased damage for free, ultimately. The endurance here is not bad. Myrmidon Plate, you're probably giving up too much armor here, right? 280 versus 513. So I'd say this would be your kind of like starter here. Once again, level of could pick up their levels here, right? Like multi-strike level is not actually too bad here. I think like it could be useful, but you don't care about melee damage, unfortunately. So you definitely want this, right?
Yeah, check. Okay, the SoundCloud superhero back again. I train hard, so when I'm on the track, I'm overlapping them. I'm lighting up a sack. The holy
so you could definitely don't want things converted away from Void, which is why this is actually really bad now. Like, you want physical converted to Void if you can. I don't think there is anything about that. You can also pick up increased echo damage when a skill echoes, but I think vitality is the way to go. Right, like this is kind of my starter build. Let's also check here. Can you get echo damage on this one as well? Yeah, you can get echo on this one as well. That would be like you can't get one of these two. This is a good placeholder.
That's why all these women hit me trying to overpopulate. Well, labels scared to hit me because I got way too much leverage. If I sign to them, then I'm the one that's bringing benefits.
Does this one have the double as well? Alright, so we get health, of course. That's your... And you might want elemental resistance here. And that gives us, what's our defense now? Like we're overcapped obviously on lightning resistance. We have Paladin 24%, massively over there. This gets us most of the way, and not completely. You can also fill in over here with your idols as well. So that will give us 32,000. The Weaver's Will I can't really like control. This you definitely want a unique.
Hi there, I'm DK, I'm new here. I'm the guy with the English accent, or the dickhead with the blue hair. That's me. I'm a vet already, I'll be putting rappers in the cemetery, leaving dead and buried like what?
So you don't want stranded souls. Where is it?
I'll always speak myself and no apologies. At DK rap artists, everybody come and follow me.
Care about that one. No camper out. Melee void. Brewmaster isn't bad. 10% of max health is gained in endurance threshold. So you get 20% endurance, up to 20% endurance, 8 potions, and then you would get like 200 threshold every time you did that, which is kind of crazy. But what we really want here is 1 minute thunder. Damn. This is what we want right here. Chance to cast Smite on hit, 6 per 10 seconds. And whenever you use a potion, it resets. Right, so like you can basically use a potion, reset it after you get your 6, which means we're pumping out even more smites with this build. And it restores volatile reversals cooldown simultaneously. We don't really care about any of these. I mean, this is optimal, but you're not really going to care too much. And it's actually really easy to get LP2s on here. Getting an LP3 is actually even pretty easy too. So you got a couple things, like you can go and get your void right on here. You could also increase chance to find potions, or get extra potion slots. Mana regen isn't terrible either. The ward and ailment cleansing is quite good. Mana gain on potion use isn't bad either in this build, or traversal cooldown even. But I don't think it actually matters too much on here. The belt is one of your weaker things. Endurance threshold, it's gonna not worthwhile. If you can get health and stun avoidance, it's a little bit worse. Hybrid health is what you really want on here, if you can. Like, that's actually what you care about more than anything else, which is funny, because you don't really care. Now, rings. This is actually not bad. The Paravor's persistence, it just gets you necrotic, armor, intelligence, which you don't care about, health regen, which you don't really care about too much either. Invokers is actually not bad as well, because shock because of lightning spell damage on here. So it's just like free damage, depending on like how you stat yourself as well. But you don't really care about the set. You actually care about the lightning spell damage. That's it. Obviously, this is super good. This is like insanely hard to find, extremely rare. So we're not going to consider that as like existing, especially for this. This is okay. More damage per stack of shock, right? So in theory, that could get you a lot more. You're already going to be leeching a lot, so I don't think you can actually care about Siphon all that much. This is probably the best thing you can get there. 10% chance, 22. Where's that? Okay, this one is good because you will use avoid skill. You don't really care about the damage. You get Void Pen, which is kind of good, and Swiftness is just more movement speed. This is not bad. Tripled 150 increased spell damage. Let's see. Gain rate. Font of the Race is actually good here as well, because you get elemental resistance, increased health and mana. Mana that you're spending is gained as a ward, and 1 ward gained on hit for 10 missing mana if it's lower than your missing health. I don't think you're going to actually trigger this that much, but it could be good. The Font of Erased. Now, Phantom Grip is kind of nutty because they are one of the only items for Ring that give a flat critical strike chance on here, and then has an implicit of critical strike on there. I think you could go a couple ways with it, but for simplicity, we would want Necrotic Ring, right? And we want one of those, and that gets us the rest of the necrotic resistance we would want. You would go and get yourself some critical strike on there. But if you, because you're getting from the belt intelligence, you in theory could, where's intelligence? They nerfed the word retention. But if you keep getting more intelligence, it kind of comes out to be a pretty good value overall. Like picking up that ring because of the word that you're getting and your word retention. Top of that. Scrappy wanna box and throw them bowls, so I had to stick the before you can pass one blow. Scooby Doo, Scooby Doo, Scooby Damn Doo, Scooby Doo, Scooby Doo. Oh, this is a tribute to Outcast. No wonder I was like, this sounds like Outcast. Right, so you can pick up spell damage. That's another free one here. Or you can take void damage. It probably doesn't really matter, honestly. Fairbore's persistence for the intelligence and armor for totems. Don't care about that. This might actually be the best, which is lightning spell damage, like adding flat spell damage onto everything else, like lightning spell damage. That is probably going to be your best bet here. You're not going to care about the set because you actually want double, if that makes sense. Like you're trying to have both of them. Added health and health regen. And you can get elemental resistance here, which then basically finishes what you would need for elemental resistance. And then do we have, what health do we have on here? Oh, you can also get ward. Second ward decay threshold, which can actually work out with the additional stacking that you're doing as another layer of defense. We got two choices. Health regen, which you may want. You could probably skip. Just go that way. And then that gives us necrotic fully capped out. Because we, oh, actually we don't need the ring because vitality is gets us necrotic, and so that gets us way more than we need. So you could though keep it for the ward decay threshold. So I'm going to flip this over to ring isn't terrible. Coral ring is also not bad. The coral ring gets you vitality, right, which is going to act as another 6%. And that gets us to 69% necrotic, which is probably good enough. And then we got physical and poison and void that we need to fill in here. So we can either get more crits. We probably do the same thing here. Double vitality rings to finish off. We get Invoker for the additional flat, but you can't put vitality on here. That's one of the few things you can't put on. And then we get the crit strike. Then we have physical that we need, and void. Right, this will cap out our physical. We get our health. So now our physical is capped out, right? Strength doesn't give us that. We also get poison resistance. I forgot about that from the vitality. Yeah, there's a lot of good unique gloves.
So I'ma use a day to soothe the pain until I'm deep in the dirt. So when I'm laid out cruising away, you could take a seat in a hearse and choose to say I died a happy man. I don't give a fuck about
Health regen, purple of strength, we don't care about that. Cold spell damage. That's actually kind of insane. So let's take a quick look at like a regular pair. If it's Lich's Envy, spell fire damage. Oh, unfortunate. That's not the one we wanted to exist. Health regen. This is how. Oh shit! This is a suffix. That's fucking insane. Cold spell damage. Another 5 flat cold damage. That's pretty nutty. So going back to the uniques. Increase cast speed, attack speed. We don't really need that. More damage to feared enemies. Immune to slow. Fighting chance. 17% more. Swaddling of the Erase is actually quite good depending on how it rolls. Increase cast speed, really good. Or increase attack speed. You can get 6, which means like you can get Vitality on there. Is pretty insane, right? Like you can't get Vitality on your gloves, so you're getting 6 flat damage guaranteed on your gloves if you pick them up. Falcon Fist gets you insane amount of attack speed, but that's all it gets you really. So I'd say that's like one of the less optimal ones. Wing guards, unfortunately not. You want Malin's Hubris is actually an interesting thing here because you get intelligence and vitality, which like if you go into the ward side, you can get some pretty good warding thresholds or DK rates and all that. Not doing atrophy. What the hell is this? This is a new one, isn't it? Increased cooldown, 20 to 25% of hit damage taken from bosses. You can get, this is a random drop. That's common. LP2. 1% of spell damage is Leech's health, which you're already going to be getting. 2 to 4% spell critical strike chance, and 200% of mana spent reflected to you as damage. What? This does not count and is not affected by any mitigation effects. So if you do 40, I guess, you know, like you're gonna be have so much leech, you're not even gonna notice this. Right back.
This for the youngins here that feel like they ain't been enough. Had a rough situation, tough, but the spirit shining through, creator knew the world needed one of you, cause the future looking bright and real sacred as the youth. Refuge.
Alright, so Grasp is a potentially really good one. Increased cooldown recovery speed. You don't really need the cooldown recovery. But this is insane though. Damage is taken from bosses and rare enemies over 4 seconds.
Now listen. Yeah, no, I hear a lot of requests, but we're not gonna play bullshit.
You don't really care about chance to apply bleed on spell hit. That does really nothing for us. It could be... Actually, thinking about this, this would combo with this. Abyssal Echo's initial burst consumes all stacks of bleed on the enemy. You could combo with that, but like you're not really trying to burst them. I guess it doesn't really matter, right? But you can get a lot of bleed stacks for free, but you're not really trying to do that. I wish you could create a list of potential items. Spell damage on there, that's not bad. Oh yeah, the Immortal Vice. You can't get those though, basically. We'll just assume we can't get them. Actually, better to say that. You take 5% less damage per stack. So 15% less damage here with a Void Barrier while above your endurance. What? Levels all stacks of Void Barrier for 30 seconds. Oh. It gets you to 30% damage reduction. This makes you take... Yes, this is probably one of the best things you can get. It's pretty rare, so we're gonna assume... Like, this is our... potential chase. You can also say, like, it's really hard to get the LP. You would lose a lot of attack speed. But you take even less void damage, right? So all of a sudden, if you can get another 10%, you would have 30% less void damage taken, which is another 5% damage reduction for elemental. You got 15% here. If you have Titan Heart, 15% there. I'm sure it's not additive. If it were additive, you'd have 30% less reduction, or 30% less damage taken as well. And this also does the physical damage taken as void. Alright, so now your physical damage is getting a 30% damage reduction as well. 10%, whenever is, pulled over. Which isn't a major thing, but it adds something. And you get increased health, the vitality. So this might be the best common to get. So you can have essentially more survivability, more crit, and decent chance of getting like LP2s on here.
souls, my killer actions. Leave fake killers exposed, there's no relaxing. When you see my killers on patrol, we got killers on parole. That's real ill since Bill. Gotta fuck around and kill Bill. Born in the killer, Staple Town thriller, Ghostface killer. Yo, it only get realer.
So those are some of the potential ones here that I see. Let's assume once again basic gloves here, right? You could get the Eternal Gauntlets, armor mitigation applies. Crusader Gauntlets are pretty good here as well. And this got you the most armor, right? You can get increased crit strike, weight resistance covered as well. Let's get the Crusader Gauntlets on here. Okay, and Vitality does not exist on here. Right, you want the attack speed. Then probably crit strike. Oh yeah, these are also pretty good. Experiment armor applies to damage over time. You can stack that on the other one. Have for armor, word for missing health.
Quickly send them to the lad and who them a this, who them a this, who them a this, who them a this, yeah. Who that we eat talks never miss. We send them a mark, pick a reminisce.
Mana is also a good one here. What do we got here? Yeah, we got have to take Grave Chill. What's my resistances? Okay, we need poison resistance. Leave you. Okay, let's see what else we can have here. Peace Complete Rate, is that new? You have to go with Hybrid Health. That's a hard requirement, basically. Now, take a look at set. Nothing good here. Increased movement speed is bad. This actually isn't too bad, but not good enough. Julia's. Increase movement speed. Word. Increase cold damage. Rain Dance is okay-ish. Just because of the +4, which isn't much. Nah, that's not good. Don't care about that. This actually isn't too bad. The Transient Rest, because you get physical and poison covered. And then current mana gained is Ward.
I told him in 5 minutes at my own damn house. My poor grandmother, God bless her soul. The bitch got
Variance chariot is actually not bad here either. You get 36% and 36% up to 36% increased movements, 1% increased damage per 1% increased movement speed. Foot in the mountain is not bad because of you can get mana cost per stack of mountain endurance. Basically reduce costs massively, but dodge rating isn't going to exist really.
Myself was healthy. It felt like we was on welfare, wealthy. Compelled me to excel in school, it failed me, expelled me. And when the principal would tell me I was nothing and I wouldn't amount to shit.
No drift does give you extra full damage up to 10. This is not bad. Dark Stride. Increased movement speed, added melee void. We're not adding much there.
I was raised with a rifle and mask, steadily beating my psychiatrist's ass just for asking about my past. I was never on that punk shit. Fucking around can get your beloved abducted, smothered in blood quick. You couldn't pay swift to give a fuck. Was crazy like my father.
Attacks and spells, you don't really need this because you're not going to scale the dex, you're scaling vitality. But you don't per se need any of these. Like there's potentially stuff here. Like if I just do void, there's only one pair of boots.
This nice beautiful house, man, it don't mean shit, cause you know daddy's a drunk and he don't clean shit. And yesterday he hit me like a grown fucking man. I couldn't stand up to him, I just ducked and ran. I'm sick of this. I wish on Christmas that I can get a loaded
I think.
put a fucking end to this. I got no friends and I can't get a bitch. Only thing I have is
Why does that have oh increased the date cooldown? So I think you do take Citadel boots here. You take obviously movement speed and vitality. I don't think there's anything else to put on here. You could get Zarek's Ambition is actually not bad here. Another 8 movement speed, more leech. Frenzy. Seconds of Frenzy after using a traversal. I don't think you need it, but effective Frenzy on you is not bad. Like 30% gets you a 6% more speed. I think we'd rather get the flat, honestly. You could potentially seal something like that. Be worthwhile. And what? We need poison resistance. And then that covers like all our resistances. Okay, make sure we get the poison. Poison, we're now covered. That. I think they're at it. Yeah, so then you get hybrid health. Actually, on the wrong tab, that's why. Okay, so that gets us basically kind of the key parts to it. That gets us only 46 vitality, unfortunate. Right now. There's also
What's my problem? I don't like the way that you're talking to me, but I don't really
that.
My back will be turned to the words that you speak until you find a way to properly.
Vessel of Strife is not bad. You would then definitely not really want Titan.
Turn to the words that you speak until you find a way to properly convey them. People! The way that you talk is often so very embarrassing. It's time that it stopped. Our generation sounds
The Anchor is probably one of the best you can get. Right, you get complete 100% or capped out your endurance, 100% to 100% increased weight, more increased armor. Then you also get Oblivion Wave, which is 500% added damage. So that's not bad. Yeah, obviously this is insane because this comes from Uber Aberoth, I believe.
Everything's a question with such indecision. You sound like a little kid. Speak with some conviction. And speaking of questions, you need an announcement by stating the word first before you pop out one. Because when you say question,
what come in is this.
Answer. That is annoying. And like, please don't like.
Okay, so it's not too bad.
Like talking about your new bike. Like is an adverb. It's used to compare things. Like when you say like so much, you sound like a prom queen. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Stop asking me that. I'll stop and ask if need be. And please don't reply with that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking, because actually
yeah, Code of Erase Sentinel is pretty insane. Mana cost for melee skills isn't really that useful, but increased armor mitigation applies damage over time. You get some mana out of that.
You're only slowing down a boring story with a hand trick, and you've got to stop.
And what can you get a level of? Oh yeah, Smite.
Like when you say, that's such a gay car. The song is so gay. Are you in middle school, you little fool? At your age, okay? Enunciate, articulate, and say what you mean. And speak up so I can hear you, but you don't need to scream. Don't talk with
yeah, this is actually one of the harder ones to get. This is good because it's just spell damage. Well.
Try to make a change and maybe then in the end we can be friends.
So
but until then, I don't like the way that you're talking to me.
You probably want the Void spell damage. Future Strike. I don't know if this is. I thought they removed Future Strike. I guess maybe it only exists on the Dread Banner now. We don't need any of these. So this would probably be your best of Smite. We're gonna actually assume no Smite because it's actually hard to get, but you can't get Vitality on here. Okay, what can you get on here? Critical Strike. Chance.
Outside isn't what it seemed. It seemed like nothing up the sleeve until it's something loud. Let's dig in holes to cover up with leaves. Between you and your pumpkin seeds and Powerball and Sunkist Peach at 1 or 1:15 a.m. when all you want is drugs and peace. All you get is waves and waves of uninvited.
You get mana here. Spell Critical Strike Chance. That's what I think you get. Double crit. Chance to apply shred armor on spell hit is not bad actually. You there? I think you just go with double crit. Onion run.
Just another box. You should probably get accustomed to the culture shock. up behind some bushes when they call the flock. Inside of the box is just another box.
Old melee damage, increased health regen.
You should probably get some wind up in your mutton chops. Note the general tone is get the dough and fuck the ops.
Do I need any other? No, I'm good on everything. Even my poison resistance from the extra vitality here.
Pandora has a Pandora, shorter, sorta like a daughter. In the core of her, there is more of her. Each subsequent
Okay, so we don't need resistance.
corridor after corridor, a never-ending meta-narrative that forever cabbages. Inside of your word salad sandwiches, a formal moral beef. I don't call them
Probably go with that for extra and extra. And that puts us at 3,022 HP. There's a lot of good ones we can use here. We could actually use the locket. I don't know what you get out of the locket, so let's take a look real fast. Old cast speed.
Inside of the sock is just another tube. You can put it on if your foot is long. If you find the lost legs of my journeys, tell them I'm
Okay, so this is just bad. You can't get what I actually want on here.
inside of the box is just another box. The general tone is what it is what it's not. Don't be a fool, your luck is shot. I rigged the
So you can get increased melee attack speed. That's one thing. Silver Amulet. Astrology. You could pick up a bone amulet and trade around where they are. Oracle. Those are all viable. Bleeding Cart is really good too, because then you can pretty easily get LP on here as well. Let's see what we got here. Channeling Focus. Puzzle the Swine. I don't care. Vitality is pretty good here, because you can get 17 Vitality here.
So I thought I'd have a peek at this nation's plight. A talent show at sorts, but it seemed to be a contest of one-downmanship. Of who's the most depressed?
And all resistances, so probably don't need it though.
It was top of the pops. I remember a telephonist or something like that. Had a lovely voice and rack. A plucky little
Oh, there's actually 3 different kinds.
with a pitiful sigh. A critical eye cast upon it would say it was banal at best, but I corralled some zest for this filly blessed.
They're all the same stat, just different curses on you. Oh, actually, they do also have increased fire damage. Oh, I missed this one. The inheritance is every 10 seconds a random minion is chosen. That's kind of shit. Increased health is really good though. And yeah, I mean, you could get some good stuff on here to go with the rest of this. This is also not bad, except for this part. You're probably not casting anything with a spell directly though in this build, so you get 2 health per vitality. So if you have 50 vitality, get another 100 health on here.
They set up a school, a factory of sorts, so their way of doing things could be taught. Not even Kafka, Jules Verne, or Ballard would have thought.
You're not going to be channeling Rebuke, but you can also get 14% more damage. So depending on how much vitality you get, it could be a good way to go as well. Devotion is insane if you actually get enough mana, because each 5 missing mana gets you spell damage. So if you have 140 divided by 5, you can get up to 28 more spell damage per smite. You don't care about the rest of this though. That's the problem, is that this only gets you 28, but that's it.
Biochemical equation discovered by a process of elimination. Patient identifies classification or analysis. Analyst got struck by paralysis, and as of almost recent information, causality is still.
Confluence of Fate is actually an interesting one, because you get fire spell damage, necrotic spell damage, and void spell damage. So you're actually going to get up to 36, 44, is it?
That indicates collision is a strong possibility. This just in, apparently the
54 extra damage, which you are taking that increased fire damage, increased necrotic damage, increased void damage, but I wonder how that plays with like minus 20% void damage taken. Because this might be viable actually with the decreased void damage taken. Fire damage is getting converted to void as well. So the only thing you have to worry about is necrotic at that point. Solitary self-split, a monetary wealth gripped, and otherwise well-equipped settlement. Intelligent enough to see the mysteries and discuss thus mathematically. Algorithmic with the Void Rift. Algorithmic with the execution. Algorithmic with the execution. It's actually not bad. Create a Void Rift when you hit an enemy and get, yeah, I mean, it feels like you get a free thing here. Lock into the Forgotten Knight is pretty nice. Read the data from the slate on the manipulator, given the statistics are rather optimistic. Swipe the litmus and counter the acidity. Yeast-based stimulators demonstrate a lyrically sound hypothesis. We're gonna keep. How common is this? It requires 81. Okay, that's actually kind of common. Countdown to apocalypse. 4, 3, 2, 1. Algorithmic with the execution. Algorithmic with the execution. Algorithmic with the execution. To keep the universe in unison. Algorithmic with the execution. Algorithmic with the execution. Algorithmic with the execution. To keep the universe in unison. I think we go with a Jade Amulet or Silver Amulet for the attack speed. Cold Pen, like you can get Cold Pen or Void Pen on here as well. We're gonna get Crit. Hey, OP, it's, okay, is it OP-IME or OP-YEMI? I'm doing good. I'm Theorycrafting here for a multi-strike smite build and going through some gear right now, like trying to figure out like what kind of like a starter could look like for this. Could also get Void Pen, spell damage, and spell crit. Let's go with the spell crit as the secondary. And that basically doubles up on our crit chances. Shred armor, don't need any resistances on here, so probably take the health. Are you hyped up for 1.2 coming on out? And stun resistance, that's probably the other thing we would want on here. That would get us a pretty good like base build here. So if we take a look, we have a 48% chance to crit, 69% on spells. We have a 15% chance base crit rate. And I haven't actually gone to smite. So if I go down to, let's see, does it have smite in here at all? I might have to actually do this first. We got smite. I don't think we have to worry about health consumed, maybe that much. We do void conversion, we do 8% here. Now hit burst slowed. 20, 40, 60, 80. That's 80% more damage on slowed enemies. Now could also get crit multiplier here as an alternative. Let's see now if I add this in here. Where is my smite? Okay, other calculations. They still have not updated any calculations on anything, basically, which kind of sucks. Okay, armor, 34% damage mitigation there. Damn, that's actually a lot. Sentinel base stats is 20 health regen base. Okay. That's actually a 25% increase. Wow. From Future Mind. If you look at the base, attunement gets us another 8. So Doom chance, Tamara chance.
The sky calls to us. If we do not destroy ourselves, we will.
Wing strikes, and when what's the other passive? No, rot ripples and is it? Oh, Echoing Strikes actually has that. I didn't realize that. Hammer chance on skill echo. Oh, we don't care about that. Okay, that gives us another 5% attack speed. So 15, 21. That gets us a 31 chance to repeat. Excludes movement abilities and anomaly.
A still more glorious dawn awaits, not a sunrise, but a galaxy rise. A morning filled with 400 billion suns.
Yeah, this doesn't have smite on here, does it? Because we would have to take 43, 43. Okay, I need to add this up. 43, 43, 43, 65, 43, 50, 76. Goes 363 increased crit chance. So 15 times 1.63. Okay. Okay, so if we add 8% onto here as our base, it would be 15 plus 8 is 23. 23 times 0.63 equals 106.49. Okay, what if we have 21? That gets us 97. That's actually really good. Because we could, in theory, drop, we can drop a point right now from here and either add hit damage or critical strike multiplier, which I don't know which one is going to be better. It's probably the more damage. If we get the necklace, which is +2, we're gonna lose out on 130 or so. We'd have to make it up. We use the Locket of the Forgotten Knight, which is pretty incredible for a set item. Gives us void damage, increased critical strike chance, then Void Rift as well. How long does this last? It doesn't actually say. Then my soul could be glad to have a moment in your company without all the moans. Maybe replenish some ATP, settle our bones, dulcet tones, share feelings. Okay, 60 on there. Void, here we go. Use some void damage. And body armor, increased void, and then 5% from devouring blade, and 16% more singular purpose. We probably want at least like 100% more, so we might actually want to flip out like one of the crit strikes. I don't think there's a spell crit here. Spell damage. It's actually really good. This, where are we getting? Oh, the unique mod. That's right. On here, which means if we're getting 7 lightning spell damage, 14, this is actually scaling it for us as well, which is not bad. And spell damage, it's not old. Oh, here we go. So does it have a total? We have 24 void, 14 lightning, that's 38, 38, 43, so 43 spell damage. That seems pretty nice. Okay, so then that means we can get a lot of different things on here. Chance to balance spells, we don't need that. Help on kill, increased healing. Melee damage, no. Increased stun, increased void damage. This is pretty good. Let's see, suffixes. Red armor, a melee hit, that's good. You can get health on here, which is good. And that's probably what I would go with. And increased armor, and armor applies to dots. You could also pick up the critical strike over here. So really, I think those are the only two that are good here. You can get two. You get 2 enchants apparently. So let's like look at a huge one. We can get here instead. Chance for, okay, this is actually really crazy. The chance for additional multi-strike swords. This is actually one of the best things you can get, I think, because of how multi-strike now works. Critical strike chance is also quite nice, but I think this is better. Now what's the enchants on here? Chance to not consume potion on use. It's pretty low, the chance. I think we get increased armor. I did hope. Pretty good. You could actually pick this up. Word per second. Reward decay threshold. And second suffix is probably still health. Just void damage over time. I think we only take one of these. I don't think we want two. One of the problems is like it's really shitty. Large idol. What do we get here? Chance to cast Void Rift on kill. We don't care about it on kill. This is actually good. Increased damage with smite.
Say the alphabet backwards. I can't say it forwards. Son, you fit the description of a neighborhood prowlers. I'm taking you to jail. Have fun in the showers. No I'm placing you under arrest for the worst charge. Now I'm taking you to county in your squad car. On the way, do a couple donuts in your front yard. I'm gonna take your paycheck and buy some fireworks.
Chanted, added spell damage with the shield and added spell damage with the two-handed axe. This is actually pretty insane for Forge Master, like for a spell build. I'm not gonna be using an axe though here, at least right now. In theory, we could get like some extra spell damage by doing that. Void damage 10. Okay, this gets you the most armor, 4%. This gets you increased echo damage and chance to gain frenzy. I don't think you need that.
I said, absolutely. She said, you're hired. Bam, I hit her with that. You work for me now, lady, and you're fired. I spent the next couple hours eating spinach artichoke dip in the back office with my door closed. Then I kicked it with the dishwasher. We slacked off,
increased critical strike chance. Time Rod isn't that big a deal here. I think I'd rather just like keep adding some tankiness here. I don't know if we care about reduced bonus damage though. This is maybe okay. Damage over time. We can pick that up.
So imagine my surprise when Mario opened up the envelope and said, "You are."
the father.
Okay, so we can get
Sorry, Mari, that kid is yours. Good luck paying that child support.
get double of these prefix.
I never seem to finish all my food.
Well, here we go. Smite.
I always get a doggy bag from the waiter, so I just keep what's still unchewed, and I take it home, save it for later. But then I deal with fungal rot, bacterial formation, microbes, enzymes, mold and oxidation. I don't care. I've got a secret trick up my sleeve. I never bother with baggies.
Let's see. One of these had something really good on here. I remember this one.
To keep all my flavors sealed in tight with aluminum foil.
Foil. The humble weaver idol is the one that's insane.
Keep your sandwich nice and fresh. Stick it in your cooler.
Where is it? Vitality and added health regen.
A refreshing herbal tea.
Lovely.
Oh, by the way, I've cracked the code. I figured out the shadow organizations and the
And added spell damage. Yeah, that's the ticket right there. Right, because this is actually 9 spell damage potentially. Alternatively, like these guys get only 3 vitality. You swap over here. What are the prefixes? They have really bad ones, except maybe this one. And that's okay. Chance to slow with void skills. Shred armor on hit is actually really good because we're not trying to we don't want melee hit nearly as much. And the enchants are not that great though. I think we actually say, yeah, exactly. That's what I want. Got, I can't remember what are on here. Stun avoidance, armor, beast armor. This is not bad. Small beavers are health regen. We're gonna void. This is probably what we take as the void pen. And that would be one choice. And what's the suffixes? Critical strike avoidance, increased crit strike chance. Interesting. They give you 2 versions, crit strike avoidance and crit strike reduce. Same exact thing there. And what's the other one? Resistances double up. Oh, this is really good. Health and mana. I think that's what we go with. Health and mana. Increased armor and increased armor really good here, I think. The mana and increased regen, mana regen are also not bad. And this is also not bad if you're stacking that. I think we are going to go with we could, if we stack enough mana, it does add enough spell damage for Smite to make it worthwhile. But Confluence of Fate is looking kind of juicy as like a alternative. And so we're basically gonna just copy, kind of like copy and paste this.
Hey, biggest brother, dry off. Salad bar's open. Look at me, I could be much chubbier. If I could eat, you would see much chubbier. Me and then I would be much chubbier. Much chubbier, much chubbier. Look at me, I could be much chubbier. I'm so scrawny, much chubbier. The goat behind me is chubbier. He's much chubbier, he's much chubbier. Look at me, I could be much chubbier. If I could eat, you would see much chubbier. Me and then I would be much chubbier. Much chubbier, much chubbier. Look at me, I could be much chubbier. I'm so scrawny, much chubbier. The goat behind me is chubbier. He's much chubbier, he's much chubbier.
And added. Because this is frankly insane on this part. Especially when it comes to spell damage. Spell damage tends to be in small amounts, but proportionally it seems way stronger.
The world is rotten. Man is kind when there's no better options. Made the laws up just to find the problems. When the social contracts redefine our conscience. Put a silver bullets in these monsters. Hate to see power like this end up squandered. I write the name, then the fate that I've conjured. Rewrite the earth in my image and look down and wonder. In the dark, they come with open arms. I know I lit the spark. Now they've been blown apart with every inch remark. I make a broken heart. I'm gonna bring the flood. My pen like Noah's Ark. I know my chosen path. I'm a martyr. They say I go too far. I go farther. There ain't a blow or mark in my arm. I watch every piece I play like sonatas. You wanna know?
Well, that gets us to 160 without trying to like stack mana. So 160 divided by 5 is 32 potential damage. Confluence of Fate is actually still a lot better. If we're willing to like be degenerate like that. Because we don't care about this, we don't care about that, we don't care about this. This is the only part that actually matters. Endurance is not bad. The rest of this is crap still. That's like, yeah. And that would put us at 3,600. Holy shit. What's our armor rating here? 2,100. Each of these idols are giving us a decent chunk as well. And we're getting 32 from strength. Holy shit, do we? That's insane. We have so much poison resistance that our boots are kind of like a waste. Can I? What would poison resistance be on here? Oh, I can't get poison resistance on this one. This one probably has poison. Yeah. You would need both of these to get 12, which would get us 24. All we need is actually kind of one of them. And then we can swap the boots suffix here from poison to just health. And so we swap to this one. This unfortunately will pick up the void pen at that point then. Poison resistance. That basically caps us there. Necrotic, 62%. So I think it's the same deal where we might swap this then. And then where's the product resistance? And then we take off. Oh, we actually can drop a point. Actually, oh, wait. I messed that up. I just swapped the wrong one, didn't I? Product. Yeah. Okay, here. Prison. Save. Necrotic. Let's go to passives. Paladin. We actually can drop points here. Okay, we want to increase that. Okay, we can drop that as well. Okay, we want 1 point in there. Yeah, that would give us perfect from the vitality and tree. That's pretty insane. We do lose out on that, which is fine, but this also gets us more endurance. What is our endurance? Is 34% right now without anything special. Why? Physical? Damage taken while moving. Let's see. Mana is moving. Oh yeah, there's also let's see, slow stats. Helmets on. Let's see. We turn that. So if we go and take a look at the defense, damage taken from void, endurance, armor DR, damage taken minus 24%. Okay, yeah, it actually does take into account that stuff as well. Damage taken from nearby enemies. I thought this was also damage taken from slowed enemies and damage taken from rotting enemies. It's 10%. Is it not doing that? It is not taking into account the time rot and the slow, I believe.
I got no regrets no matter the outcome. Loving it's just one of the perks, and it goes like this.
Resistance DR.
A little kid with a dream to chase, innocent with a grin you could see from space. Couldn't have been any older than 5 when the class
This is actually 0.7%.
And what do you want to be when you grow up? I was fine till the other kids showed up with doctors and astronauts, even people cleaning out the trash cans. Not me, I wanted to be Batman. That plan didn't seem quite so brilliant.
Increase 50% increased leech. We're taking damage dealt to mana before health, word retention. Oh, that's 30% more word retention on there. Endurance threshold from Defiance. Oh yeah, for 2% uncapped elemental resistance, which is some free for there.
When there's already an endless supply. If you ever put your head to the sky and dreamt you could fly, then you know you're expected to set it aside and forget it, because it'll never lead you on a safe path. But I really did quit my job to make rap, and I'm terrified, but not as much as I would have been, sitting in the same place wondering what could have been. If this works, it's because I'm good at it. I'm good at it.
75% to 17. Okay, so now we got. We're actually never gonna cast this directly. 72 spell damage here. Plus 5, 14, 38, 43. So 100, 12, 100, yeah, something like that. 112 or so. 246 void damage. Ooh. Body armor, helmet. Okay, so now we got Smite popped up. The question is, this is what, 20%? Question is it better to 1, 2, 3 get 50% and then just put the rest in like this? Right?
Why are we going to the concert?
Baby, this is the concert.
But I got dressed up.
You can also get Electrify on there. That's another thing we could pick up there. Right, because if we're putting in 3 points here, that's doing nothing. If we put the 3 points in here, that gets us a 75% crit multiplier, and then each point is worth 20. So that's the question, like, is 75 multiplier and full blinding flash actually more valuable? You can also get out of mana cost, which is pretty valuable. You can run like that. So now we can keep using smites for free. That's another way to go. I'm not sure how much we're gonna be like running out of mana here. I think we could be greedy and do that. Multi-strike. Because we can even do this if we really needed to. This is critical. When you create more additional swords than there are nearby enemies, each remaining sword can consume mana to strike the nearest enemy, even if it was hit by the initial attack. That's can be insane. We could take that to get unfortunately, like, if a sword kills an enemy, it creates another sword just like creates a chain effect of you kill something, a sword comes and kills that one, making it clear the screen. In a lot of cases where you get 3, 2, 3. So you're actually hitting 3 things and then you're hitting another 3 things where you're clearing it out. Unfortunately, you also have to spend a lot of points on this, right? Target area and damage. This is interesting because now it depends on what happens. If Echoed Warfare causes them to cast Smite, which is what I'm hoping, and they get 2 additional swords each, then Blade Storm means you're getting 2 additional smites coming from your echoes. And the question will come down to, like, is it better for you to have extra stack? Probably actually better to go like that. If you could do that, you always have an extra stack. And now your Echo gets an extra sword. You can also pick up this, but then that would be, what is it? 3, 4, 5, and that would be 15% as attack speed, which is like a little bit of toss up. It might be worth it. But yeah, with the 2-handed version, this is what I'm thinking. Now, I don't know if jousting gets you a 30% multiplier on your smite, right? Because each sword is replaced with a spear, but you've already replaced your spears with smites. So I don't think it does, unfortunately. Okay, so anomaly is now like your traditional anomaly. Nothing interesting here. Spam that up. You could also get decimation. Doubled for void damage. Then
if you see K, tell her I say hey, and then tell her she should say the hell away today. And if K takes offense to this, then just say I'm sorry, K. I guess that this just isn't your day.
You get insane leech. You have like 150% leech in this build. You could also add in decimation for another 30% here. Okay, and so which do we want? I think we order cooldown. Yeah, we picked this up.
Fuck this, fuck Chris, fuck me, fuck you, fuck everyone here and everybody else too. Fuck off, fuck face, fuck all night long, fuck everything everywhere, and fuck this song.
So it's no longer a traversal skill, right? Like we can add lunge as our traversal skill simultaneously. And then we get some void bolts. And then I don't know if the void bolts are like if Hollow Cascade works with returning corruption. Something I'd have to test.
Monkeys, you know what's even funnier? The phrase fucking monkeys. Utter it with me, fucker. Say it, fucking monkeys. It's fun, huh? You're a bunch of fucking monkeys. Fucking monkeys, monkey fuck a bunch of motherfucking mothers, but some other monkeys fuck
And then we're taking off this. Wait, your Void Bolts can also crit here and get you mana. When you critically strike at least one enemy with Volatile Reversal, you regain mana. This effect can occur once per use for the attack and separately once per use for Void Bolts. So if you get 3 Void Bolts, and returning Void Bolt means a single one can get you 4 hits, but it also increases like your mana by 40% needs here, so about 16, 3 plus 3, 6, 18, 27 or so, and then you'd have 4 hits. It kind of pays for itself, but then you can have Void Essence instead. And let's see, Void Essence, 30% of your mana when you hit 0 is going to be 160 times 0.3 is 48 mana, about that much.
I'm a ratchet guy, lost my wife for a black goodbye. No, don't talk to me unless it's an emergency. I gotta go, I gotta take a number 3. That's a piss and a shit and a wank in a tree. I said hello there, can I fill your hole? She had one look and she told me no. I got a wife at home and she hates me. I sleep outside cause she makes me big bowl of the cocaine, that's me breakfast. I tried crack once, I just wanted to test it and I'm hooked now. I could marry my pipe, my wife wouldn't care, she just wants me to die. It's party time, get your drugs.
So you can get, is it 2?
It's party time, get your drugs out. Do you wanna make love to a sad old man? It's party time, get your drugs out. If you wanna make love, get your muffs out. It's party time, get your drugs out. Do you wanna make love to a sad old man? A hip, a hop, a hip, a dip my dick in the salsa dip on a Taco Tuesday. Get a spaff on your booblade. Yes? Feel free to say no. Bald bean and full of beans. I got a Yamaha keyboard drum machine. But I like a patch on my dungarees. I said, girl, can I get your number, please?
Okay, so each attack will get you a Void Essence, so it's actually pretty cost effective, I think. Yeah, so the big thing here is while you're able to jump back, you can get 5 seconds of frenzy, and then finally here we get ourselves another 20% attack speed, so we get 40% attack speed between that, and we hopefully would never have to cast Abyssal Echoes at that point. We don't actually have to cast, we actually have a build with 2 abilities that don't need to get cast, which means you can carry Rebuke on here. Got Anomaly. Actually, let's put Lunge there. Lunge. A Reversal. And Anomaly. So this is all you need. So you get Reversal there, some Traversal if you will here, very minor. Which then gives you a couple of choices on what to place here. You could even use Healing Hands in this build as well, but since it's all going to be void and spell damage, Let's see. This is actually an interesting thing because healing hands we cast, right? For melee, but you don't need to actually pick up Seraph Blade here. In fact, you don't actually want it to be converted into a melee attack. This is not a buff, right? Anomaly is considered not a buff either. So you could still pick up Healing Hands because spell damage is applied at 200% effectiveness. And you also get another 10% damage reduction over here. So that's another, we could actually like drop this entirely. But we do get attack speed. So that's another variation here, which is take out Abyssal Echoes and put something like this on here, increase void damage per active symbol, so you can get probably 4, and increase crit chance on here, so 4 times 20, 80% chance on this as well. I don't think you would look at 8 times 4, 32. I mean, you could. You don't want the regen. You don't care about this. This actually could be good. It's Divine Flare. What? Oh, Symbol of Hope's cooldown significantly reduced and it's no longer instant cast. And I guess you could also use this as another defensive layer, another 20% damage reduction. And you can also get another flat chance on here. All right, so this gets you we drop spec out of this. Because you can do either. This gets you, let's see, damage.
Yo, I cracked the whip. You played the game. Every encounter that subtraction never comes in my name. So that you came to become obsessed with my location. Clues to my identity, denied to the impatient. Step up, I sense you're on the precipice of something. Me, I'm on the brink of delivering your lumpings. Make you load your save up for the 55th time. Make you scroll through unskippable dialogue lines. And you still ain't any closer to
yeah, because you could actually cast Divine Flare if you wanted to with this. Probably don't though. It does have pretty good damage effectiveness. Yeah, I just realized all these abilities have flat vitality scaling. So percentage increases are actually big comparison. So this actually would be really good for this smite. And then we would probably drop that. Right, we'd have Void Bolts. And now you don't have Abyssal Echo. which is a trade-off. So, like, there's a couple ways. Just increase crit chance.
Exclusive but not higher than me. All the sobriety of the day and age might prove indecent, cause me to find and strangle the baby of Jackie Gleason. But then I'm evil and puissant, unpleasant and bent on my ends. At the final reckoning, too late to make a
Yeah, I think you go with the mana efficiency and duration.
cut a minion double corrugated instead there stands between feet and fire. So go whistle, go huddle a hobo corpse, nestle his bristle. This powers as your obstacle, my will never bend. Doesn't matter how you struggle, never get you past the end.
You'll get 400 ward, 20% less damage taken. You could also add this for more endurance thresholds. If we're just kind of focusing on increasing the performance of Smite and Multi-Strike, this gets us Void Essences. Okay, Void Bolts. This actually, if we could, I wonder if the Void Bolts get additional crit chance, because that actually would be good. Okay, like that's. Oh yeah, the other reason is every reclaimed action is when you travel at least 4 meters, your next melee attack is guaranteed to echo, which would put this down to 3-second cooldown, and then that's where like it might make sense to have the Abyssal Echoes, because you keep getting let's see, it's like attack speed with the buff and damage versus blinded.
Seduction is like a game of chess, and I'm the queen.
I think
You've really got to agitate the pandas to get them engaged in combat. They're very docile by nature.
increase damage. Okay, that's.
Heard you couldn't find the dance floor. Just walk right past the garden. Go through the Spanish French doors. Turn right at the 7th bathroom. Then I left in my laser car. You can ride my purebred stallion. If you hit my mode, you've gone too far. Take an upside down left at the MC Escher stairs. Okay, you're almost halfway there. Can't stop.
Yeah, I think this is actually better. I don't know if you need it on your bar. Do you need this on your bar? You have it. You probably do. And this will probably be better. Because this also gives us even more crit chance, which means that like you can once again drop this even more. Smite, other calculations, and okay, minion. Let's save what we have.
So please watch how you're talking. It's home to me. I love this town. Let me tell you about Weehawken. Now listen, with all due respect, this town's better than you'd expect. Never gonna meet a more friendly bunch, and also many great spots for lunch. Weehawken, that's quite the name. An indigenous word for the Palisades, or kinda like that. It's complicated, and by that I mean appropriated. Anywho, did I mention the view? Narrows to the G-dub. It's woo! It's the best spot in the know-who. Jersey pride, y'all let me show you. Because I'm from Weehawken. All day we jaywalking, living high up on the Palisades. Everybody be flocking to Weehawken. You know I'm from Weehawken.
Hello, guys.
Manhattan, keep gawking. Hit the ferry as it casts away. Hudson River be rocking.
Okay,
When we walking tall. Weehawken, New Jersey, y'all. Yes, I'm proud of the pedigree. Who's from Weehawken just like me? Fred Astaire, shake it there. Smell that fish up in the air. Daniel Webster.
43, 43, 43,
I love her hair. I wonder where she gets it.
55,
One more thing about this town.
43,
Can't help but brag. And our history's so cool.
50,
Hamilton Purdue. There's a park and a plaque. It's top notch. This spot's where Hamilton got shot. What's good, everybody on the bluff? See, that's where
14,
I gotta shout out Weehawken.
10,
Ladies, Euchre Club. Woo woo. Our traffic, slow motion. Our neighbor, Hoboken. We use gender neutral pronouns. Our population is woken. It smells like the ocean. And I'm sorry for the self-promotion, but when I walk out on Hackensack, I gush out with emotion because I'm from Weehawken. All day we jaywalking, living high up on the Palisades. Everybody be flocking to Weehawken. You know I'm from Weehawken, Manhattan. Keep gawking, hit the ferry as it casts away. Hudson River be rocking in Weehawken because we're from Weehawken.
okay, so 15. I don't think we need 8% then. Times 5.77. It's 86. So how much do we need? 17? We only need 2% crit chance to basically guarantee crits, which is insane with this build. So we can go into our smite.
Party or die, cooler than Marty McFly. I keep it popping like your phonies if you're phony goodbyes. Bodie dopalicious, hella pelican fly with a flow so vicious. Live from the high dive on that Marco. Hip hop Han Solo.
I don't even know like where you would put the 2 in. I would need to could do that. I don't think we're gonna run out of mana though, like this. Because if we're not casting anything other than Volatile and Anomaly, I think the Void Essence might be enough to carry us. We could, like, do that. Global melee fire damage is actually, if you, okay, could we do, we don't get enough points like that. Get an attack cast speed because we can get another 20% attack speed. I don't think that's gonna be worthwhile.
Fantastic rap shit, scholastic, bombastic, might get your ass kicked on the mic like oh it's magic. That's that classic, wrapped in plastic, fantastic rap shit, scholastic.
Might be the way to still go is like this.
On the mic like oh it's magic.
Cannonball, the most majestic maneuver, the mood improver while you're sucking like a Hoover, screaming criminal. The way I'm still in the show and gripping the mic, you want my
Lightning
hand
bolt.
up on the pike. Yeah,
I don't know.
is where I'm headed. I'm representing from Chuck to Philly, turning Bunker to a milli after all. Me and my
There we go.
do what we do best.
Something like that. A point in there.
But you know I got the breaststroke. Hold my breath forever like am I afraid of death? No, presto, change yo. Get out of my lane, bro. Step into the kid. You about to earn yourself a halo. Phelps bomb ripping, velvet speedo slipping, sipping on some drinks that make me feel like Scottie Pippen. Dishing up an alley oop to all you winning women. Dunking on these chumps supporting Trump and dumb opinions.
Could put a point in there too. I don't know if it's gonna work.
Bombastic might get your ass kicked. On the mic like oh, it's magic. That's that classic. Wrapped in plastic. Fantastic.
And this would actually give 100% crit chance of wood bolts as well. Thinking about this. And we have nearly 100% crit rate with everything on this build. Yeah, we get increased spell damage. So even if it casts Frostclaw or Stormbolt, we're still getting 290% increased damage here. Void damage is obviously going to do the most between all the other things here. Increased void damage, increased damage. So this is looking pretty sweet. Wait, what? Oh, that increases bleed damage. It's like, what the hell? 316? Wow. This is going to be melting people. No wonder people are building for time rot builds. Witchfire damage. Because this isn't even building for time rot. This is going to do 3600 damage on its own, basically. This is looking pretty strong, I'd say. Conditions, time rot.
It's like I'm in a movie tonight. In a jacuzzi, hit a doobie, fly a pelican fly. I hit enough rhino to get an elephant high, and then I spit it like a triplet that fell out of the sky. And like the warriors, you're running away. While I got beer bottles clinging and singing, come out to play. I'm like a full colour burner by Reno and Double K. You're Michael Douglas falling down, having a cunt of a day. Hey, it's like I'm in a movie, driving by with an Uzi. My mind a little boozy, little high.
And passive, I adjusted points here. We don't necessarily need that. We can keep 3 points and toss them around other places. Oh shit, I forgot this. Eternal Form. We kind of need that. Kind of wanted that. Oh yeah, I forgot about, you also get 14 mana every time you echo. So you may not even need void essences. What would I? The problem is this tree is so fucking stacked towards the end. You need something that gives slow and frailty. So we could drop that because we'll definitely get the slow. I don't know where we get the frailty from though, because we get slow from volatile, which is 100% chance.
That was the best acting I've ever seen in my whole life.
Wait, do you get 2 when you travel? Guaranteed echo skill with far jump. Is that only the first one? Is the second one going to give you another echo? Because this would just... that would get you, based on this, you would actually get 2 mana, and then 14, so you get 16 mana. You really want this for health per vitality. It's +2. Wait, can I can't actually change this. I don't even know what you change here. There's a free crit. Like, you need 5 points in there. Sucks. Because health per vitality +2 would be 130 additional health. Like, that would get you to almost 4k. It's kind of insane. Because you're already at 1021. And you get massive fucking HP pool. And you definitely want like slow and time rot. What does frailty do again? Is frailty just physical damage? Or is it all damage? No, this causes them to deal 18% less damage. You kind of want that. Oh yeah, I forgot about I also didn't pick this up. Oh my.
Pull up in a 96 whoopty whammy. 816 boys got that Grammy. My baby mama's mama told me she can't stand me. Rolling up with hella, screaming like a banshee.
I forgot about this. Critical multiplier per point. This is 63 crit multiplier, which is huge. And we almost have 100% crit chance here. We don't actually need crit with this setup. Now this might be worth it. Another 20% there. That's probably the way to go then. If you have the extra points, 100%. Let's see if I do the math. It's 50, 70.
Check Twitter, it's trending. Real DJs go ahead and start spinning. I know it's the 5th time everyone has requested, but don't be a bitch like the French who stole Christmas. Abu Dhabi, it means it's all good.
This is probably the way to go with this kind of build, actually. 94% crit chance here. Unfortunately, like, this is, you can't level 100% like this. I don't think there's a spear that gives spell damage. Yeah, you have to be level 68 to run this build 100%. Oh, I forgot about, does this count as added melee damage? Let's see. Can you add this on as well? Or is it required to be something else? Because that's 80, you get 40. So maybe this will be okay too. So this is what you would want ultimately to get insane crit rates. Okay, we save. 50 points in here. I don't even have a clue what's in here. To make champions, sometimes drop a pile of items of the same item type that always have a sealed affix matching one of the affixes of the imprinted item. Oh shit. What? The tier of the sealed affix can roll up to the tier of the corresponding affix on the item. The chance of a pile of these items is multiplied by the number of affixes on the item. Okay, so basically it's a gamble. Like, you can guarantee to get an item with that affix if it drops it, but you're less likely to get these piles if you do that. Timeline, boss reward drops. Okay. Let's see what the furthest things. Champions and your echoes have a chance to drop uniques without at least one. Woven echoes increased. A mask to accompany you in tombs. He provides defensive buffs and casts spells at enemies. Increase pack size. Okay, experimental items still exist. Guaranteed rune prison. A pile of items with plus level of skill affixes. That's not bad. 2 of them. Oh, that's pretty good. To get another champion. Much more common. The shade has normal item drops. Killing the shade does not grant any corruption or reset. So you can get more shades in your timeline though. Okay, this is for arenas. Chance for double rewards. Pretty good. Increased chance. Incubating silk is a possessed and trapped soul incubating inside silk cocoons that will hunt and kill you. Okay, and Similar items are more likely to have the same rarity, subtype, and affixes. Oh, okay.
I see that you're embarking on another epic quest. You're gonna use your ocarina to rescue the princess, but you'll need a magic weapon that'll never ever miss. It's dangerous to go alone. Take this.
Oh, thanks, old man. That is really
Okay, so echoing riches seems to be incredibly good.
Though I've never seen a sword of quite that shape or size.
For
Oh, God,
it's
that's not
what
a
for
sword, it's your dick in disguise.
an armor or jewelry item. Commoner's riches.
That was weird, but whatever. There is no time to lose. I got a warp right now to Zelda in this chilled out groove. Wait, this isn't.
You cannot include subtypes, affixes, or uniques that are not dropped by regular enemies.
I'm at the corner of Dead Cotton Prostitute Junction. Something in my ocarina must have gone and malfunctioned. I gotta fix it quickly. There is justice to do.
Hold on a minute, Link.
Oh man, is that you?
This is a place you can't survive with just a sword in your wrist. It's dangerous to go alone. Take this.
Well, that's really kind
Similar items when opening lost caches. That's pretty good. You can get increased stability. That's not bad.
Oh my God!
Souls of Erased.
Princess Zelda awaits. I must defeat Ganondorf before it gets too late. Okay, now I really don't know where I am.
Hold on a minute, Link.
God damn it, old man!
You're in Raccoon City. It's a zombie abyss. It's
What?
dangerous to go
Killing
alone.
Shades of Erebus no longer grants corruption? I guess that's when you want to farm him without it actually changing corruption levels.
It's not cool. I'm not gonna touch it. I'm not gonna. No!
So is that a no on the hand job, or okay?
Hello? Oh yeah, for sure, dude. I'd love to do a show. Tomorrow? Dude, there's no time for... Fine, damn it.
This was a last minute gig. I booked it one day ago. There's only 3 people here, and I think they wanna go home.
Users will value in unique items found in your echoes has chance to be rolled twice. Ooh, that's really good. Okay, glyphs. Chance for a drop when you complete an echo. Runes and glyphs. I don't know how good the champions are.
What's up, Seattle? Alright. Well, my name's Beefy, and I make it's called Nerdcore. It's like here, just whatever. This was a last minute gig. I booked it one day ago.
All rare enemies. More glyphs. Two bosses instead of one? What? Okay, 16 unspent points. Holy shit. This is a huge tree. Damn, this is really hard to possess Nemesis of like how to actually progress through here. I wonder, can you, there must be a way to reset this stuff too. Okay, so you get timeline boss reward drop chance, which means then you have a chance of getting timeline shit without having to get to the boss, which is pretty good.
Yo, Christy B, what up, son? Yo, STD, what up, girl?
Probably want the sealed riches. Now, which way do we go? Additional experience tomb drop chance. Socketed item drop chance. Loot lizard from cache. These loot lizard shrines. Loot lizards are creatures that drop items. Damn, this is so hard to figure out, like, what's the optimal here, or what to go. There probably isn't an optimal, it's more like targeting. I'll need to experiment with it and see what it's like. Oh. Alright, I think this is a pretty good build. The alternative also, instead of Symbols of Hope, would be instead of Abyssal Echoes in here. Or even Devouring Orb. This gets us more regen, more damage. Could get the Void Resistant Shred as well. I forgot to even do the Blessings here. Don't really care about that. There's this. I don't know if we need Grand Hunger. That might just be fucking overkill. There's also this for another 100%. But we probably want this at this point. Okay. Resistance. Two choices. Could pick this up, but I think the winner is actually the mana here. Could also get the ward, depending on how it gets built.
trying to stay cool. 2 years grinding and I'm still in the same shoes. You couldn't say my name till the fame came through. Now everywhere I go, people telling me to stay true. I'm getting criticism for this life that I'm living. You should spend more time with the message, and that's what rhymes you've written.
I guess you don't need the slow.
They don't understand that music makes this revolution grow. You see, this rhythm speaks, study the history. People singing songs of freedom while we marching in the streets. Yes, this is critical. This is my resistance. Artists homo powered and these crooked politicians. This is
Oh yeah, I forgot about Grand Resolve.
music draws the intersections, make the circles wider. Cool the earth's climate when I'm spitting fire.
Which is another way to like get additional threshold, which gets us 142. We probably don't need that. Huh. There's not a lot of good things here. The 20% is probably the best, and then building around like removing some of that stuff.
When I wake up in the morning and I see people suffering, I'm just like, what's in front of me? No one cares if they're hungry, and they're walking right over them because they're thinking they're under me. I would look up at them as a child and be wondering if I fly as a butterfly, my dream or a bumblebee is what going extinct.
If we get this, there's no frailty here, right? So we can get critical strike avoidance. Oh no.
I could take a rhythm, chop it, turn it to surgery. I could go see Crow and play a show up in Germany. What's with the books and poetry and the urgency? My homie, just listen. It's the one world vision, the grand unification of life on Earth. The mission is clear, so if you with it, baby, we can get with it. Me and X and the bastards just chilling and we out. Box warfare, chilling in the cipher. Bring it down low so we can get the people higher. Step one, break free. Only
150 extra might be okay. It's probably better to go with Grand Bulwark here. And this is where we could get the frailty, right? So we could pick up the frailty and the slow. Where we go and pick this up. In general, that gets us up to 49% armor mitigation, which is a lot better. I think we just pick this up. And then our idols, we do not need the poison resistance anymore. Swap this back.
Bright-colored robotic space rhinoceri that we pilot. Why? Cause they're in survive. Plus we heed the cry of our planet's population to defend them.
Okay, and then void resistance, which is gloves.
They come equipped with individual special attacks. None
Okay,
with a lack, but a couple a little bit slack. I'm not naming
which come with it. Okay, so 40, that's 56, so yeah, I still need it there. Might does give me a bit extra, so maybe I just keep that. But that gets us up to 50% armor mitigation. It's pretty good. And that's like, you know, choosing things like this. Defense now. Okay, and then there's what is it? And it's sword you need. Critical strike chance, movement speed. That's not it. That could fill. Melee critical strike chance, no. And what's the mace? Shadow Beacon. When can you get Shadow Beacon? Level 51. So Shadow Beacon is possible to use earlier on. Gets you a lot of stuff too. Alright, I think this is quite good. Okay. Alright, I'm gonna head on off and at this for 3.5 hours. A lot of time to theorycraft this. Until next time, keep your clean and looking pristine.